Welcome back to another The Rad Movement video on YouTube. I am Robbie Rapole, and today I want to talk to you about where your mental wellness is. How's your mental health? Help you maybe create a checklist to go through and see how you're feeling. See where you're at. See what areas might need some tweaks. See how you could be crafting a better plan to live happier, healthier, or all of the above. So, yeah, that's the main focus here. Focus here today is just to kind of create an awareness around where our mental health is at. Because a lot of the time, we don't pay enough attention to our mental wellness. Men were very easy to suffer through it, work harder, nobody cares, right? Women were very easy to, well, I don't know as easily, but it feels like women are much more able to put others before self, and just continue to take care of others, take care of others, take care of others, and not really give enough to themselves. So I feel like it's very important to check in with yourself every so often. It's not something we're really taught how to do in real life from others growing up unless we had those type of people. You know, mental wellness for children it wasn't really a thing when I was growing up. And now it's becoming more and more, and I think that's beautiful. My youngest son is going to get to grow up in a much more progressive, forward thinking age. But mental wellness is important, and it's not something that a lot of us put enough emphasis on. So, you know, we can always think that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but how often are we taking care of our grass? How often are we nurturing ourselves and, feeding and giving ourselves the appropriate elements of life to help us grow and progress as humans? One of the best ways to do that is to check on your mental health regularly, daily, um, multiple times daily. If you find yourself getting somewhere like where you feel, strong, frustrated, angry, aggressive, passionate, a way that you're not really, isn't like your true north and your good baseline. If you're feeling some type of way, check with yourself. How am I feeling? Okay, what is it that's making me feel this? All right, let's say it's anger. Okay, why am I feeling this anger? Because I just got cut off in traffic. Okay, well, what's the deeper cause of the anger? What am I not healed from my past? Or what am I going through currently that's projecting itself onto this situation to where when I'm not stressed, I can react to something like this a lot easier. So, you got to think of things like this. It's very difficult to think of the different avenues of how we can handle things. But if we're constantly checking ourselves in these little ways, like, am I being kind? Am I being necessary? Is the mood I'm in because of underlying things that I just have to let work themselves through? Is there anything I can do about this? Is there nothing I can do about this? Okay, now what do I do if there's nothing that I can do about it? Oh, surrender to the situation, to the feeling, to the discomfort, to the whatever it is. Fuck, I don't know if I want to surrender. Well, maybe I have to. And a lot of the time it's when you don't want to do something. I don't want to apologize. Probably should. I don't want to forgive myself. You definitely need to. A lot of what we resist persists. So if we create these little checklists, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What can I do about it? Is there anything I can do about it? If there's nothing I can do about it, what do I do now? If there is something I can do about it, what's the most efficient and effective thing to do? The healthiest, the smartest, the strongest decision to make. All these different factors go into your life and your regular day-to-day things, but we're usually so busy that we don't think about, oh wow, I could do this differently. You know, a lot of my life I spent, well, that's just the way it is. And I was like, man, I hate it when other people say it like that to me. So then I'm like, fuck, it's not just the way it is. Let me figure out a way to soften. How do I take this edge off? How do I stop being such an aggressive person? How do I use my aggression to work with me and for me? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I make these micro adjustments? You know, checklist. Do I feel like I'm doing right by my code of living? Because everybody has like a code that they live by. You know, I try to lead with love because my center is love. And when I operate from love, life is just better. So I wonder, okay, am I living and leading with love? No, you're not. Okay, how do we fix that? Just go back to love. How do I do that? Let your ego relax. Thank it for being there. Thank it for its part. Go back to love. Okay, cool. It's harder than it sounds right now, but it's very simple, not easy. I constantly say this. I might write a book called Simple Not Easy one day. But seriously, like when you look at it as these things that we need to adjust, there's so many different micro adjustments that can happen throughout a day to make your day feel better, to make your day live better, to where you're living to the day that you want to live, rather than feeling a way that you know you could be changing it. You know you could be doing and feeling stronger and better about your decisions. So if you're in a low place right now, that's fine. It's okay not to be okay. It's not okay to stay that way. Give yourself the time. Ask those emotions what they need from you and what we can do to make it through this, and how we can not just make it through this, but how can we look for solutions that just feel strong and spirited and aligned. Because when we're doing things that feel aligned, when we're living a life that feels aligned, and this could mean like religiously aligned, spiritually aligned, just universally aligned. When you go to a new job and it feels right and you feel like you found your people, that's feeling aligned. When you make a decision, you know, the fuck yeah is stronger than any fears, then you're aligned. I'm not saying you're not going to have fears. I'm not going to say you're not going to have doubts. That stuff happens. But the more aligned you are, the easier it is to just get, fuck yes, that's my decision. So, you know, if there's a lot of things in your life that aren't fuck yeses, that's another part of your checklist. Is my partner a fuck yes? Is my business a fuck yes? My career choice is a fuck yes? Is where I'm living a fuck yes? Is my diet and exercise a fuck yes? Am I letting myself down, or am I constantly making myself feel good about the decisions I've made because I've made agreements of who I want to be, and I've made these systems and processes of how I want to live, and now I can hold to that. So when I'm living my best life, I'm communicating effectively with everyone that I can communicate with around me, from my love interest to my people at home to my people at work to the way I interact online and with strangers. And then, is my diet and exercise on point? Am I getting the right amount of sleep? Am I giving myself enough time for myself? Am I meditating? Am I journaling? Am I, you know, doing what Robbie needs? And am I giving love? Am I giving enough time for Zen? Am I being kind with my interactions? And when you can get through all these things and kind of make agreements with yourself on how the person that you want to be like would live, and then just keep trying to live that way, and then forgive yourself when you don't live that way, but keep trying. When you make a mistake, you just go ahead and make the best decision next time. And then when you make another mistake, you forgive yourself and you just say, I'm sorry, and I'm okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's not okay to stay that way. Thank you for having the grace from me, higher self, inner child, personal self, judgment of self. Whatever version of you just needs to accept that I'm moving through the things the best I can, and I'm going to do better every time I can. Hold yourself to a high standard, But don't kill yourself if you don't make it there every moment of every day. Everything has an ebb and flow. So you have to remember that it's safe and healthy to decide who I am and who I want to be. And then just ask yourself, how does that person be? And before you know it, you'll be living the lifestyle you want to live. And you'll be the human that you've always wanted to be. So when you live as your true aligned self, and you live as the person you want to be, someone that you would look up to, wow. All you have to do is break it down and say, let's make these agreements with myself, and then keep a checklist of how often I'm staying on course with these agreements. Because I guarantee you, when you're out of whack, it's because there's a couple of things that are out of balance. Am I being loving? Am I being kind? Am I taking care of myself? Am I giving myself grace? That's a nice little checklist there of how can we be our best selves, and also how can we not hold ourselves super, super, super duper in like this negative accountability space when we don't be ourselves. Make the checklist, and make part of the checklist of having grace with yourself. So let's run through that one more again, one more once, as my friend Dusty likes to say. So decide, let's have a check-in. Where am I? Who am I? Where am I? So we have this check-in. Then, in that check-in, we take some time to sit with ourselves and either journal or breathe or meditate or just sit in silence. But just kind of throw out the question, how's my wellness? How am I doing? The way that you would sit down with a friend and be like, how are you doing? But like, how are you really doing? Ask yourself that. And then you'll get these answers that come. Make it 5 minutes to 15 minutes to an hour, whatever time you need. Make it a minute if it's during the day. Make it 30 seconds, but make it a checklist. Give yourself some time to sit with yourself. And just ask, what do I need right now? How am I? How am I? And then you'll get the answers. They'll flow. Am I doing well? Am I doing not well? Am I hurting? Am I sad? Am I scared? What can I do about these things? What's the cause of these things? Is there anything that I can do right now other than surrender? If I have no other choice, how do I surrender? What state do I want to get to? How could I help myself get to that next state? And sometimes if you just have to hit the off button and just go on autopilot for the rest of the day, that's okay too. But just have the self-awareness to know what you're going to need, and have the grace to give yourself what you need. And I guarantee you'll make it just fine in this life. So thank you everyone for joining once again. Hopefully I gave you some insight on how to give yourself a mental wellness check. And if it comes out as mental illness, okay, cool. What do we got to do? How can we get back to mental wellness from mental illness? Happy accidents. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for sticking around. I appreciate y'all for watching. Go take care of yourselves. Go ask yourself what you need and go give it. Give it to yourself. I'm Rad and so are you. I love you all very much. Have a wonderful fucking day.